Let's see. All right. So let's see here. Is it Tessa?
Yes.
All right, Tessa. All right. So you had sent in that you had an area, your kids' grade school collectibles. So give me a little bit more information about that, and let me see what ideas I can give you.
Okay. So from the time they have been in school, they're both 12 and 13.
Okay.
I have literally put things from all their things from school. Like I literally didn't even like sift it out. Like whatever came home, it went into a box.
Okay.
So whenever I started this project, thank you, COVID. Whenever I started this project, I had no less than about 8 huge bins of paper and things. And it was so bad, Lorraine, that I had lost track of what year it was. Like I literally had to like spend, 2 or 3 days, not necessarily sorting, but then trying to, remember which year that this was.
Yeah.
I mean, this is how huge of a disaster it was. And then, I sort of culled as I was going. So I've got it down to 3 bins.
Okay.
And, separate it out into grades. So my question to you is, what do I put it in? Like, how do I organize it from here on out? And then, and keep in mind that there is like papers and, things with their hands on them, that I couldn't part with, all of those things. And then I'm like, well, my daughter has some great art pieces that I'm like, well, how do I keep these, and should I be keeping these? It's just, I was proud of myself of getting it down to 3 bins, but then I'm like, okay, is this still too much?
So you still got 3. Okay.
And then what am I going to put them in?
Okay. So I'm going to give you how because they're 12 and 13, and so the papers are going to be really reduced.
Yes.
Probably here on out.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, you're through the worst of it right now.
Yes. I would say that it was up to 4th grade, and then, there hasn't been much since.
Yes. So what I would probably do is when a paper comes in, we do what we call a holding tank. And you'll still need to set this up because there will be papers that come in. And I think it's important when they get a little bit older, I'll give you an example. We had a son that wrote his some kind of report his 11th grade year about being a little nervous and scared about growing up. Like he didn't want to leave home. It was bothering him. We would have never seen the inside of what he was feeling because he never shared it. But he was trained from very young to bring all his papers home and for us to go over them and look through them. And we ended up saving that. It's actually part of what we've actually saved. And he's married now with 3 kids. Mm-hmm. So I like still a place, even though your kids are 12 and 13 years old, I still like a place that they can put school papers if you're getting things. So create what we call a holding tank. And this is going to be some kind of, it can be a plastic bin. I used early on, nothing fancy. I used a cardboard box that came in a shipping box, and I put it on a shelf in one of our garages. And every time I got these papers, or my kids got them, they would take their papers. Don't worry about making any decisions don't waste your time. That's a big problem with parents. They'll like, oh, I'll leave the pile on the table until I get around thinking what I want to keep. Just put everything in that during the school year. And at the end of the school year, you're going to do what you've just done and narrowed it down to what you want to keep. Okay. Obviously, you're going to keep a lot less if you look at it over one time and you look at everything. You're going to just keep the best. So don't going forward, have each of them have their own holding tank, whatever that looks like. We've looked plastic Sterilite drawer systems, a tote in the garage with a lid on it. Kia has some really good in their recycle department. They have these cream colored plastic bins. There's a large size and a smaller size, and they have a hinge lid on them. So they can actually stack, and the lid opens up, and you can, without having to remove the one off the top, and you can label it really cool. So those are options, and you can use those bins later for anything. But for what you have, here's a couple things. Now, I'm assuming you have artwork mixed in.
Yes.
With things, or like, is
Yes.
it also like Mother's Day stuff too?
There's Mother's Day stuff. There is, art pieces that went to the, that were displayed at the stock show or Mayfest, or, stuff like that are, bigger than an actual bin would be, So then I'm like, well, what am I going to do with that?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to give you a couple resources. Now, you can do what I'm about to tell you on your own, but it's going to be time consuming. And I'm going to give you like 3 different ideas. Number 1, there is a great, very great company called, I think it's called Chat Books.
Okay.
And these chat books, they have a hilarious YouTube commercials. They are hilarious, and it just makes you want to use their product. And it's just mom that's going through, just the chaos of working in life and all that. And like, yeah, I have time to make faux scrapbooking books.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And all the little cute things. Yeah, I'm just good to get my ears cleaned out type thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she has a really good presence and a connection. And what you do is there's all kinds of level of chat books, but basically you take pictures of your stuff and they put it into a chat book. So for the kids' artwork or anything you would want a picture of, I would highly recommend. And they're actual tangible books. They're small, but that you can see your kids' artworks and pass that down. And that takes up far less space on the artwork side.
Okay.
The other thing is archives, Kives.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
You've heard that one, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yes. Same thing. You can upload them from your phone onto that.
Okay.
They make it easy.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you had to ship the stuff to them or you just take the picture of it.
You take the picture. There are some, there is some, they've had both versions of it, including almost like a pizza box that you put everything into and you ship it to them.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that they might be one of their options right now as well. You don't have to do any of that. You can, as long as you have the cloud, you can sit there under really good lighting and watch your shade, watch your shadow, and take pictures of these and just upload them to your cloud, where there's actually, they're not any kind of particular book, right? But they're online, they're secure, because you're probably, they're either going to remain in the tote for the rest of their life, meaning the art projects your kids have done. I doubt that they're going to want to display their art projects in their own home. And when they get older, how are you going to use it? Are you going to display these? Are you going to make them available for them to look at? What are you going to do? Because keeping them in the tote is not a really great long-term solution.
Yeah. Agree.
So I would do something of that, either do it yourself and put them online, which I've done a little bit of that myself, or create some books, which again, do it really convenient. Don't try to do all these, splicing and dicing, and, busy people don't have time for that, but we want to save those memories. So keep that in mind. The other thing, when it comes to everyday schoolwork, like maybe a journal or a report or something with a fantastic comment, I don't know, just whatever you decide. Keep very little, because this is where the journal stuff I would keep. What we do with our clients is we put for each year, and I don't necessarily know that you need to do this for each year because you don't know what the years were, and that's the downside of throwing them in those 8 totes all this year, is you don't really know. Is you can just get a like a portfolio type, like a portfolio, and it can have the physical artwork go in it. It can have, the kids' 8.5 by 11 school papers, and put that in a portfolio if you actually want to keep a physical copy of them. And I'm saying this, your kids are probably too too old for this, but there is art portfolios for kids that's accordion style at Lakeshore Teacher Learning Center online. There are some on Amazon. Michael's and Hobby Lobby, they tend to have like the big envelope portfolio where there's no pockets in them. It's just you open it up and it's one big pocket to put everything. You can do that since you've sort of got yours all mixed together in grade level. You can just get one portfolio with one pocket and put, if you want to keep those larger artworks and the papers, keep them all in there and just label it, you know, and just be done with it type thing. It's there's no use going back and detailing. If you want to organize it by grade level or what you think they've done in their younger years, great. But most likely you're going to probably want to keep more artwork than you will those physical everyday to spelling test.
True.
All right. So let's get to what I call an or like a portfolio. And I want to see if I can pull something back here that I can, let me just see. Okay. So one of the things that I would do now is all the paperwork from each kid that you've pulled out that have been things like certificates. Okay. I want you to separate that from the everyday schoolwork and from the artwork. I want you to build each of your children a portfolio, like it's a history of all their accomplishments from kindergarten on up to when they graduate.
Okay.
And here's why. One of my sons is not a high academic performer. Just not. And you know, most people know that scholarships are not always based on academics. There's a lot of scholarships that are based on community service, right? I mean, I think all of it's weighed in there a little bit, but community service is really a high point that people that may not perform on the academic level at an A, you know, A's and B's can get into colleges based on their community service and the organizations that they've been involved with. So go back and use, I mean, you can use a simple 3-ring binder with sheet protectors, okay? And you can scan these and make a folder on your computer. There's no right and wrong. But a physical binder is what I used to use because I wasn't into the techie side too much at first. And basically the beginning of the binder is going to be the beginning of the kids' school year as much as you can determine. And the end of the book will be the last. Anything that have accomplishments, awards, certificates, into the school programs. I've got one here, my son, that he was something in ROTC for the cadet. I've got outstanding character award. I've got outstanding character award again. I mean, these if they were in any kind of music program, they played solos, right? Acting, whatever. Build them a portfolio of everything they were involved with and all their accomplishments. And what's great about this is when they get to a certain age where they're looking for their first part-time job or they're trying to get into something, an organization that, or even a college, you're going to go back and you're going to glean from this so much that you would have forgotten.
Okay.
I used it. My kids didn't use it at all. Mama used it is what happened. And Mama was able to put together with them their first resume. Because you don't have anything, right? When you're first building your first resume, you're like, no. But
there's a lot of blank page.
There's a lot of blank. You've really got to pull some things together. And so we went back to that portfolio and we found that they were junior camp leaders at their church for summer camp. They were vacation Bible school junior leaders. They were, one of my sons was asked to go to a military base in ROTC. They only picked the top students based on character and attendance. He was able to go to a military base through ROTC and have some experiences he never was, but he was selected to do that, right? He had to stand out. And all the kids, whether they're yours or mine, if they're the same grade level, they're competing for the same positions, same jobs, right? Same things. And you've got to make your kids stand out. So by building this portfolio, I'm telling you, girl, it'll make your job easier and it will give them an extra advantage that a lot of kids don't have because it's not well organized or put together.
Okay.
So I know I've talked a lot. Tell me some more questions or things I didn't answer for you.
In terms of, So you talked about the portfolio. You recommend doing that outside of like having a like another big bin with,
Correct.
little. Okay.
Great. Because when
Okay.
I did mine, I just pulled, and I don't even have it in here, but I pulled the binder and I went through it, and just like this little workbook type thing. And I was just, on the computer typing, because, parents got to fill out half these things. Their kids don't know what they're filling out.
Mm-hmm.
And I would do that, then throwing it into a bin. Now, if you want to be a little bit more simplistic, and nothing's wrong with this, at least create a file, like in a
Yeah.
file folder, right? You don't
Yes.
have to create a binder. I like that binder a little bit better for me. It was more
Uh-huh.
better organized than just, because when you tend to shove things in a file cabinet, they're not necessarily in order. You got to be
Yes.
careful. I knew
Yeah.
I'd keep it in order in a binder with sheet protectors. And I
Okay.
knew that would work for me. But again, some people that are limited in time more than others, just having all that together, but a bin's going to take up a lot more space than a file folder.
Okay. Okay. That really helps out a lot. And, I would have never thought about keeping track of, everything that they've done, because they've been, like my daughter's been in a lot of, musicals or productions or whatever. And then, my son did Boy Scouts, but he's not doing it now. But still, just
Yes.
having any record of any of that is good to have.
Right.
I would have never ever thought of that.
Yeah, and you think those things are really insignificant compared to the things that are happening in high school. But what you want to do is you want to show a history of
Yes.
outstanding character, of being involved in things. And maybe your child excels at performing arts. And this has been evident since they started the school
Right.
all the way through, right? I mean, and take advantage of that, because
Right.
there's a lot of competition out there, and you've got to set your child apart, and you being organized with this will give them the advantage that some other parent is not so
Right.
organized with.
Right. Well, one of the things that my daughter does at her dance place every Christmas, and I think about it every time it comes around, Lorraine, because they go around to all the different nursing homes and do a Christmas production.
Oh,
And it is the whole month of December. And I'm like, this is community service hours.
absolutely. Absolutely.
100%. You
Absolutely.
know?
And now when you get into organizations, and I've never been involved in any of organization that requires me to keep track of my community service.
Mhm.
But a lot of these organizations that you get into that do that, they don't happen until you get older.
Yeah.
And and you're right. I kept track of all kinds of community service that he was doing before there was even digital content or digital way to track that. But
Okay.
you've got to be able to do that. And
There
there's
is a
probably an
digital
app
way to
out
track.
there. Probably an app out there that will take care of that.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that's not going to take the place of your portfolio. It's going to be in
Yes.
addition to.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So just a little bit of a transition here,
Sure.
because I got a hold of the filing system that y'all have had and talked about, and it is absolutely genius. Like I
You
set
talking
it
about
all
this
up.
one?
Yes, that's the one.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
the one. And so I got it all set up, everything, done. Or so my question is, whenever you are going from year to year, how do you put that? Because I buy the boxes at the Container Store that says 2019 or 2000. So do you just take all the file? Do you like purge those files yearly, or what do you recommend?
Okay, so I know exactly those that are cute boxes at the Container
Yes.
Store. Okay,
Yeah.
they're not needed, but they're okay to have. The only
Okay.
reason I would use those boxes is what you're taking out of your files and putting maybe in your attic or somewhere that that is more of like your archive type files.
Okay.
I would keep all the files in your file cabinet
Okay.
if they're current. And let me give you some example. Yes, I do clean out my files or our clients' files. I would recommend every single year. I do it normally between Christmas and New Year, sort of that time when people are transitioning, start the end of the year for the new year. And don't, until you pull like 2019, don't put 2020 in there because you're just going to complicate your work, right?
Okay.
So keep a little bitty bin or something with 2020 before you actually do.
Okay.
Well, now you'll want to keep, if you own a home, you're going to want to keep 2019 stuff about your home because you still own that property.
Okay.
You want to keep all the information until you actually sell the property or move. If you have a car, same thing. If you have life insurance policies, don't worry about the year. Is it still an active part of your life?
Okay.
Things that you're going to want to pull if you keep these things are things like car insurance, that old policies, or utility bills, old policy, credit card, old policies, anything that's outdated. Now,
okay.
Small business owners and people that don't have small businesses need to keep different types of things. Okay. And you keep them for longer. Like, are you a small business owner?
Yeah. Well, yeah, sort of.
Okay. So, for example, and you don't have to keep this physically like paper, but you do need to keep it somehow. I like paper for this, but you need to keep, if you take a percentage of your square footage, write it off on your taxes, you want to keep your water bill, you want to keep your gas bill, you want to keep your electric bill. And so those things you might file away for the year. Okay. And then you put those in that box that you got from Container Store, because that is the year that, like, you only need that because you're claiming that on this year's taxes.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, clean it out once a year. It's not going to deplete too much. You may get rid of like 20% of the stuff every year just to start replenishing it with the new year. But you still need to do that, and be careful about miscellaneous, folders. You're right. This system, I have it in my file cabinet and I love it.
It's wonderful.
It's all color coded for you. So it is a great system and I love it. And it's, and it has, plenty of labels. If you need to have a unique situation, you can write your own label and put it in the category it goes in.
Yeah. The other thing that I love that it suggested, and I bought one off of Amazon, was the accordion file that goes 1 through 31.
Yes.
And then the months right behind it. That has been a lifesaver.
It's called a
I always have
file.
a stack, and I just am, I just use that thing. It has made a world of difference.
Yeah. And with that, the one that you have, it's very portable. So if you need to take something to the office or on a trip with you, you've got everything you need depending on when it is. And I'll show you this, and this will be the last thing I'll show you, and I'll have to get off. But this is a system that is very similar to the tickler file that you just mentioned, but it's more stationed for your desk. And we've incorporated some projects. Like here, we have different projects going on, right? 2020 taxes. We have a folder for just mom. But then back here are your months. So it doesn't have the days of the month, but it has the months here that allows you to put something, I'm not going to deal with this till June. I don't want to keep it on my desk, right? I'm just going to put it in the month of June. And that's what you sort of have. And it's great. Those tickler files are outstanding for keeping up with things and not having to remember. It's in the system. It's in there.
Yes. Yeah. It's genius. Yes.
Awesome.
Yep. Awesome.
Well, girl, you're a blessing. Thank you so much. And hopefully we'll do this again.
Yes, I hope so too. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.